Hello, I'm back again for next episode of Crazy Cards Fan Chris. Today I want to talk about the two series that just ended. It is April 25th, so the Cardinals play the Nationals and the Reds. Now, one thing I want to point out, as I said at the very beginning of the year, Chicken Littles need to settle down, and this proves it. They worried about the Cardinals starting pitching. Well, now they've had 7 good starts in a row. Today, for some reason, they seem to want to tag the beginning of this to Flaherty. And Flaherty had the first 6-inning good start of this string. But reality was Gant threw 5, I believe, scoreless innings the game before. The only reason he didn't go further, which, yes, I think 5 is not a minimum. It should at least be able to go to 6 or 7. But the reason he didn't go further was because he walked a bunch of people and bumped up the pitch count big time. I think overall the starting pitching has settled down nicely. I have had my doubts about Carlos, not about his talent, but about just what he'd done as a starter lately. But he was brilliant the other day. Probably deserved a no decision or a win. Another outfield defensive mistake cost him the one run that he lost, 1-0. Also that, and Matt Carpenter continues to play. Dear God, stop! He can't play anymore. I'm sorry. Yes, he was a great player. Yes, I really liked watching him play. I was a big fan, but dear God, get him out of the lineup. Ugh, you might as well have me go up there blindfolded. It's that bad. Okay, so I'll get off that subject. But overall, the National Series sucked and was good. It sucked. They lost 2 of 3 games, and Gallegos, as great as he has been, he was terrible in that inning, and that cost them the game. They should have won that game, but Gallegos was terrible. It happens to everybody. Everybody has bad days. You're going to have a few sometimes. Go through little streaks. As you saw with Hicks and Reyes over the weekend, both are off on their pitching. They're throwing the ball high. Their mechanics are a little off. I don't think it's a big issue, but I am getting tired of walks, so stop it. Especially you two who have stuff that's almost unhittable if it's in the strike zone. Yeah, I know, mechanics are off. Sometimes you can't throw it where you want. Believe me, I do know that well. Carlson finally moved up to number 2, as I had suggested since before the season. Thrilled with it. Thrilled with the results. He has 6 hits in the last 2 days. He moved up 3 games ago. Believe he had a hit in that game too. So yeah, I think he's kicking butt in number 2. I think it's the perfect spot for him right now. They don't want to throw him fastballs. They don't want to throw him strikes. But if you've got Goldie and Arenado going, especially if they're going good, they don't have a choice. They're going to have to pitch to him. And he does have power, and he can do some serious damage. I think he can be a star at least, and maybe a superstar. We'll see. Sometimes these things don't work out, so we'll see. Let's see. Pitching overall has been pretty good. 2 things driving me nuts. 1, the outfield defense has been horrendous this year. Some of it I understand. You get Carlson playing center, who's not a natural center fielder. I think he's got the skills. He doesn't have the experience, such as the ball that fell between he and Williams in the 9th inning while Hicks was pitching. Sucked for Hicks. There's 2 earned runs that he didn't deserve, because should have been a fly ball, turned into a triple that knocked in a run and that guy. You've had Dean have trouble once or twice. Not a huge problem, but little problems. You had Carlson lose one in the wind and knocked it down, and he didn't figure it out right away. Sometimes you're having trouble seeing. I get that. Some of it definitely was having these guys that hadn't played together that much play together. But not everything. And Thomas was just horrific, and he needed to be sent down. I don't get why he was that bad. Anyway, Hurst and O'Neill made the play today, unlike Friday, where they didn't. Where Carlson or Williams didn't make the play. The offense has been a bit more consistent the last few games. They weren't just going off and scoring 12 to 15 runs and then doing absolutely nothing the next day. They were steadily putting up runs, despite Goldie and Arenado being off the last good portion of the week. Neither of them, they still would knock in a run occasionally, but they're both dropping off on all their numbers. Arenado's down to a normal person OPS in the upper 700s, and Goldie's still in the 600s. He just hasn't gotten it going. Goldie, I think, really just needs one of those weekends where he pops 2 or 3 home runs, gets 6, 7 hits, and then he'll be fine. Like I said, Carlson keeps climbing, and people haven't talked enough about Edmonds. He really played well. Edmund, I tend to add the S, sorry. Defensively, where he should be at second base every day and never be in the outfield, no offense to him as an outfielder, he did fine. There are some lack of experience issues I see with him out there once in a while. But, wow, he's been playing good defense. And he's hitting great. Like to see him pop a few more doubles, triples, homer every once in a while. A little more extra base hits to get that OPS up a bit. He had a 850 OPS his rookie year. I don't expect that, but I don't expect it to be 700 either. I think he's capable of 750 to 800 OPS in most years, and I would like to see them run more. I know the broadcaster's been saying the last few days that they shouldn't, but I disagree. You've got some guys that can run. Let's run them a little bit. You don't have to do it all the time. You have to pick your spots. That's kind of the key. Pick your spots. One of the other comments I want to make is, dear God, we need the robot strike zone. These umpires are horrific. You had Joe West go crazy Friday night where all of a sudden the strike zone shrunk in the 9th inning. I mean, some of that was Hicks and Reyes being off, but no, a lot of it was because strikes were being called balls. I'm getting sick and tired of it. The 9th inning today, 2 outs, bases loaded. Reyes throws a curveball that's clearly a strike. It's not even questionable. And yeah, it's called a ball. Ball 3. You have pitchers' outings lengthened by, at best, lengthened by these horrible calls. And I'm not saying this is exclusively against the Cardinals. It has tended to hit them more than the other teams. It seems, but that's probably just a law of averages. The other teams will get it more. But this is horrific. Dear God, these guys need to be reprimanded, fired. Come on. These guys can't call a strike zone? Then they shouldn't be umpiring. That's why we need a robot strike zone, because this is horrible. Then you get rid of some of the crap that catchers pull to make a ball look like a strike. You wouldn't have the Atlanta Braves years ago with Maddox and Glavine, who, if they called real strikes, I don't know if either would make the Hall of Fame. Maddox probably would. His stuff moves so much, you would have figured it out. But I'm not sure Glavine would. I mean, you could drive a truck through this for the Atlanta Braves a few years ago. It was ridiculous. You see it better than that now, but Used to, as far as width, but now you see a ball down the middle called a ball. I'll give you an example from 2-3 years ago. Cardinals are playing the Cubs, ninth inning, tie game, bases loaded, 3-2 count to Rizzo. I don't remember who the Cardinal lefty was that was pitching, but throws a ball practically down the middle. Clearly a strike, not even a question. Nope. Called ball 4, Cardinals lose. Call it a strike that it was. Do the Cardinals lose? I don't know. But they didn't get a chance to find out. And that drives me crazy. And that's not just for the Cardinals. It shouldn't be like that for any team. These guys got to call it right. You can review stuff at the bases, but you can't review balls and strikes. And yeah, I get you could be doing that all day long. The game will last forever if you did, but still. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this week. I want to see Oviedo pitch again. I was thrilled with what I saw from him in his relief appearance. I'm pretty happy with the starting pitching right now. I saw some guy on the internet saying, "Oh, Kim's not good enough to be a starter in the major leagues." I'm like, really? He led the league in ERA last year as a starter. How is he not good enough? Dear God, people, stop it. If you want to have an argument about baseball, make it logical. Sometimes I think these guys in the forums hate the Cardinals. They don't really like the Cardinals at all, and they're looking for anything they can complain about. Anyway, I'm wearing an interesting, funny shirt. Thought you guys would get a kick out of it. Let's see if I can get this to adjust. You can laugh at me then. Yes, I am silly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please give me likes, and if you like what you saw, also subscribe. It'll always be interesting, I promise. Talk to you soon.